A construction site is a busy place. There's always a lot going on. Framing and trenching and demolition, a variety of tools and machinery being used, heavy equipment operating and other vehicles on the move, materials being delivered and stored. In the midst of all this, accidents can happen. People can get hurt, even killed. That's why 1 out of every 5 workplace fatalities in the U.S. is a construction worker. A significant number of these deaths result from one type of situation. OSHA calls these caught in or between accidents. But they can be prevented. In this program, we'll discuss what caught in or between hazards are, where you are most likely to encounter them on a job site, and what steps you can take to avoid them. Caught in or between hazards are one of the 4 top causes of fatalities in construction work. Caught in or between injuries result from being squeezed, caught, crushed, pinched, or compressed between 2 or more objects. Caught in or between accidents can occur between one moving and one stationary object, between 2 or more moving objects, or within machinery with moving parts. Examples of caught in or between accidents include being buried by loose earth when the walls of a trench collapse, being crushed between vehicles, equipment, or materials, being caught and drawn into operating machinery. Workplace accidents like these and the injuries they cause are not a pleasant subject. But the better we understand these hazards, the easier it will be to recognize them on our job sites and take steps to prevent accidents before they occur. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, has grouped the most common types of caught in or between accidents into 3 categories. The first 2 are called buried in or by and pinned between accidents. The third category involves situations where workers are caught in unguarded machinery. Most buried in or by accidents happen in trenching work when the walls of an unprotected trench collapse. Since a square yard of soil can weigh a ton or more, trench cave-ins can easily crush or suffocate people. Being trapped in a trench can also expose workers to other hazards, such as contaminated atmospheres and exposed utility lines, as well as water, sewage, or chemicals that have collected there. These can cause poisoning, burns, electrocution, even drowning. But trenches are not the only danger zones. Buried in or by accidents can result from scaffolding that collapses on workers, or walls that cave in unexpectedly during demolition work. Pinned between accidents occur when workers are caught between equipment such as a forklift and a solid object like a wall, materials that are being stored, and objects such as a parked vehicle or piece of equipment, or construction materials and a trench's shoring system. Pinned between hazards can result in serious injuries, including broken bones, asphyxiation, or even death. The power tools, machinery, and other equipment that are indispensable for so many construction jobs can also do a job on you if you're not careful. When their moving parts are not properly guarded, your hands, feet, or the clothing you're wearing can get caught in them. You can also be drawn into equipment that starts up unexpectedly while you're servicing it. And just like other caught in or between situations, these can cause serious injuries, including strangulation, crushing, amputation, or death. As we've discussed, all of these caught in or between hazards can be prevented. For instance, the buried in or by hazards that you may encounter in a trench, while working around scaffolding, or during demolition work can be addressed by safety policies and procedures that are implemented by your employer. To combat trenching and shoring hazards, they will follow OSHA's Trenching and Shoring Standards guidelines and assess your work sites to identify and resolve potential hazards. Install protective systems to prevent cave-ins or protect you from their effects. Implement procedures for preventing equipment and materials from falling into a trench, and train you how to recognize unsafe trenching conditions and avoid them. The safe work practices that you can use to reduce your caught in or between risk include never working in an unprotected trench that is 5 or more feet deep, never entering a trench of any depth that has not been approved for work by the competent person who is overseeing the project, and always staying inside a trench's protective system. If a trench cave-in does occur, do not enter the trench to try to rescue a coworker. You could get trapped by a secondary cave-in and become a casualty yourself. To avoid being buried in or by excavated soil, never pass underneath or work below loads that are being handled by lifting or digging equipment. And always stand clear of any vehicle that is being loaded or unloaded. OSHA has established standards for scaffolding, construction, and demolition procedures that help to reduce the risk of workers being buried during these activities as well. To prevent collapses, all scaffolding work must be performed under the supervision of a competent person who ensures that proper procedures are followed. During demolition work, freestanding walls that are more than 1 story tall and were not designed to stand alone or are thought to be unsafe must be reinforced with lateral bracing. And all jacks and raised loads must be cribbed, blocked, or otherwise secured. To protect yourself from caught-in or between hazards involving vehicles and heavy equipment, you should start with the basics. Make a habit of knowing where all of the machinery is on your job site. Use caution while you're in its vicinity, whether it's operating or not, and stay a safe distance away at all times. Pay special attention to equipment that is backing up. Some pinned-between accidents occur when vehicles or equipment tip over because of soft or uneven ground on a site. Your employer will have taken steps to address hazards like these, but keeping your distance will keep you safe if a tip-over or other mishap does occur. Some types of equipment, such as backhoes, cranes, and excavators, have booms that swing back and forth as they operate. Sometimes the superstructure of the machinery may rotate as well. The ground that is covered when they move is called their swing radius, and it can be a serious caught-in or between hazard. So always stay out of the radius area to avoid being caught between the body of the equipment and its moving parts. Never stand between the swinging parts of the machines and stationary objects, such as the walls of a trench, stacks of materials, or other equipment. Don't put yourself between loads of materials that are being hoisted and any immovable objects either. And make sure that loads that are being lifted are rigged so that they remain stable while they're being moved and that they are stacked securely. To avoid caught-in or between accidents while you're maintaining or repairing vehicles or heavy equipment, always turn the machine off before you begin work, and never work on a machine if you have not been trained for it. Your employer will have lockout-tagout procedures in place to ensure that equipment is not accidentally energized while you're working on it. Lockout-tagout is required for all equipment that is used in concrete and masonry operations, and many other types of equipment as well. To find out more about your lockout-tagout program, talk to your supervisor. To ensure that equipment is safe before you start any maintenance or repair work, or when shutting it down, always fully lower or block blades, buckets, load beds, and any other moving parts that could suddenly shift position. Powered tools and machinery on a job site can also create caught in or between hazards. Machine guards should prevent workers from coming into contact with their moving parts. But machine guards that are out of adjustment, disabled, or missing can create very dangerous situations for people who work on or around the equipment. Since these tools have to be powerful to handle day-to-day construction tasks, if their moving parts catch hold of a hand, foot, or piece of clothing, that power ends up being applied to your body, and the results can be tragic. So you should never use tools or machinery that you have not received training on. Carefully inspect any equipment you are using before you start your work, and check that machine guards are in place and working correctly. If any of the guards are out of adjustment, fix them. If they are damaged or missing, replace them. If all else fails, take the equipment out of service. Label it damaged so no one else uses it by mistake. Never disable or remove the guards on any tool or machine yourself. And be careful not to wear anything that could get caught and cause you to be drawn into the equipment you're working with. You may find it necessary as part of your work to replace blades, bits, or other parts on power tools and other equipment. To avoid caught in or between accidents, turn them off and disconnect them from their power source before you begin. If necessary, lock out and tag the power source so the machine can't be activated by accident. Block or otherwise secure the machine's moving parts if you can, so they can't move. If you need to remove a machine's guards to service it, make sure to put them back on and that they're working correctly when you're done. As we've seen, there can be a lot of caught in or between hazards on a job site, but it is possible to see them coming and avoid them. Let's review. Caught in or between hazards are one of the leading causes of fatalities in construction work. They occur when workers are caught, compressed, or crushed between two or more objects or in machinery. Buried in or by accidents occur most often in trenching work, so never enter an unprotected trench. Avoid pinned between accidents by being aware of all the vehicles and equipment on your job site. To avoid being caught in tools or machinery, always inspect them, and don't use them if their guards have been disabled or removed. No matter how busy a job site becomes, caught in or between hazards can't sneak up on you if you're looking for them. Now that you know what to watch for and how to combat any problems that you see, you and your coworkers can go home injury-free every day.